Thank you so much for joining us here at the WILL Project, funded by the Department of Research at Texas Southern University. I'm here with Seba to talk about her installation, Reclaiming Home, that was a part of Coming Through the Gap in the Mountain on an Elephant, an exhibition that was on view at the University Museum.
When I began participating in the project and started going to the meetings, what I talked about creating was completely different from what I did in the end. The piece that I created called Reclaiming Home was the title I thought of after I had actually created the installation. The title came last. Everything else came in pieces and threads. I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but we had been meeting, and a group of us, all of us, met, and we kept talking about coming through the gap. That was a really important piece. It was really important, coming through the gap, and then we had conversations about not using the walls, creating a really different kind of show. We all wanted something very non-traditional, so we talked about we cannot use the walls, and we were going to enforce that as a rule until, of course, some people use the walls, and they use the walls really well, very effectively. But I began with, and I always do installation. I'm not a traditional artist. I'm a writer. And that's where I usually begin. I was trained in visual art until I was, even in college actually, but after that I chose writing as my field. But I do a lot of installation work. And I was actually going to create, the piece itself has, I did not use the walls. So it was using a section, and talking with Pruitt, we decided which section, and he gave me feedback on how to use the section. And I began with the thread because we've been talking about the walls, we've been talking about coming through the gap, what was going to be the gap that I would use, would people come through a curtain, would people come through objects, how would they come through the gap to experience my work. And so the gap that I created, and it was something that some people chose to enter through, some people chose to step back and just observe it, was to create a thread of spice. And it was spice. Some of the spices that I used were a compromise. The cinnamon was great to use because it was easy. It's long and it's easy to throw a needle through, a darning needle, of course. And then the bay leaves were easy. The cardamom I wanted to use. I'm very inspired by a thread that I have in my car. It comes from a market in Karachi where you actually where they thread. I don't know who does it and how they do it, and I need to find out actually the next time I'm in Karachi. They thread through cloves and through nutmeg, like really hard stuff, and they create necklaces, and it's unbelievably gorgeous.
Wow.
So my piece, the thread that I created was completely different, and it was just strings that went across one way and then the other way, and the string and my idea was first to have it so that people would lift it to go through, but then we quickly realized that nobody would touch it because it was so fragile. And I'm amazed it survived 3 months. So this piece was very different from most of the work that I've done. But I was initially going to make those threads, and then I was going to create like a little white mountain or something, and then put up a video screen, and then have some videos playing that were connected to the spice. And this is stuff that I use in my cooking, and was really important for me, but none of that really happened. It was like, obstacles like how do I get an LCD to run that long without burning the screens, and there were just all those issues, and the installation just got simpler actually, because as I was creating the piece, I was also simultaneously trying to apply for visas to go to India. I was born in Pakistan. Pakistan is my home. I'm a dual citizenship. I hold dual citizenship in Pakistan and in the US. And I was trying to apply for visas to go to India and to Bangladesh, which were all part of one mass region at one point. And my parents were both born in India, and I've been to India. In fact, this is a visa that says, at one point, going to India. This is when I went in 1988 to do an internship. Yeah, and it was a very special. I went and worked in Calcutta at a newspaper. And I couldn't apply for an Indian visa because I'm born in Pakistan, and they don't accept visa applications from Pakistan people born in Pakistan who have American citizens, who hold American passports. And the only way we can apply on our American passports is to get is to pay a lot of money to the Pakistani government, have them send a certified letter saying that we renounce, this person has renounced her citizenship.
Oh my God.
I know. And
Why?
because
What's the
since
reason?
9/11, the world has changed. Nobody thinks about it, and often I forget how much it has changed. There was a huge bombing in Mumbai, in, I can't even remember the years anymore, it's such a blur. It was 2006, 2007, when somebody trained in Pakistan, and it was an American trained in Pakistan and then went over to Mumbai, and he kept going back and forth, and
Wow.
that sort of,
So
Indians refer to as India's 9/11. So everything is now referred to as so-and-so's 9/11 because everything has to be framed around this fear of terrorism. So anybody any Pakistani, anybody who flies from Pakistan with an American citizenship is under suspicion now. And so as I was creating the installation, threading the spices, I was enraged. Like, I'm trying to go, I have funding to go, I'm going for a project called Borderlines, I'm trying to explore issues between the regions, I have connections to all those places. It's all home in a sense because it's blurry. The lines have been drawn arbitrarily in 1947. They were drawn through people's homes. And I can't go.
The lines of division between the countries.
The partitions, yes. And it's like, and I have relatives in India, you know.
So this installation is really a direct interpretation of your experiences.
It was, so threads were my piece, were just kind of peace, as in P-E-A-C-E, like, okay, I need to find peace, you know. So it's just doing the stitching was helpful. And then I had a table in which I lit some candles, and then I went home and I photocopied the visas that I've had and friends' visas, and then I burned them at home. I burned them very ritualistically in my backyard, not inside my backyard, and then I brought them, and that was the last piece that I put in. And I put in my yoga mat, and I named the installation Reclaiming Home, because it's like, what do we do in this world where we have no control? We have no control where we're born, who's going to give us what, you know, it's so arbitrary. I don't think they got visas to come to the United States of America in the 16th century. The British didn't have visas to come and invade India or parts of Africa.
Exactly.
So, okay, there has been terrorist activity. Yes, you cannot deny that. It's happening in our world. It's my way, the installation was my way, I guess, of coming to peace. I am not nationalistic. I don't appreciate it when people assume I'm Indian, because it's a very large region. I could be from anywhere in South Asia. Check before you make assumptions. The yoga mat does not belong to India, neither do the spices. It's the region. So it was about reclaiming home. I used all these objects. It's like, this is all part of my home. Don't assume anything about me.
It's really sad when you really think about it, you know, like you said, how much the lines have been drawn all over the world, and these lines are barriers that prevent us from communicating with each other. And we already have enough things that separate people in the first place that cause them to pass judgment or determine, you know, this person's a terrorist or this person is this, just based on their nationality.
You know, I was in Karachi, I was in my home city, Karachi, and I was talking to a photographer, and she's interviewing and documenting, photographing Bengali refugee women living in Karachi, you know, who are making decorations, and her photographs are amazing. And you know, there's a huge Bengali camp. The history of Pakistan as it is today, and Bangladesh is horrible. What the Pakistani government did in 1971, but our job is to learn about the histories. Our job is to reteach those histories from the narrative of the people who were most affected, who most lost loved ones, and to understand the anger, to speak to the anger, to speak to